Welcome back. So in the previous video, we brought in new assets in a bid to make a complete overhaul for HUD. So right now it looks like this. It looks a little better than before. So we have these borders around the top left and the top right corner, and we have better looking armor bars and health bars, and also the ammo counts and everything else. It's also looking fine towards the bottom right corner. The next thing we have to do is we have to have a kill feed out here, out in the top right corner. A kill feed meaning if you ever played a game like any multiplayer game, for instance, Counter-Strike or Battlefield, so you always get notifications like a pop-up. Like if you kill someone, then it says that okay, you killed this guy, and if the player kills you, then you get a notification. So whatever happens in the game with regards to people shooting each other and getting rid of the rivals, there is always a notification that's sent across to all the clients. Okay, so in this case, since this is a single player game, but I'll still show you how to make a kill feed. It's called a kill feed, or it's called a notification. It's called a notification center, which always states that every time you kill someone, it will say you killed whatever the name of the player is, or whatever the name of the enemy is. Okay, so let's get on to that. And we have imported all the assets that's required for this already. So we will be using kill feed BG, and we have also the kill feed border. So, but before we actually go on and do that, we won't be using it inside the HUD because that's going to be a separate asset. So what we're going to do instead is we'll be creating a new widget blueprint, and I'll call this kill feed, and that's it. I'll open that up, and the first thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need an image. I drop an image there, anchor it first, lest I forget, top right corner, and then I'll bring in the image, and that image is going to be called kill feed BG. Okay, and of course the kill feed BG is 194 by 28. So I'm going to say size to content so that it sizes to content appropriately. All right, and I'll just position it the way I like, or with the way I want, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to need some text boxes, two text blocks, not text boxes, but text blocks, two text blocks. So one would be saying you killed or player killed, and the second would be the name of the enemy that you killed, right? So the first one is going to be, I'm going to call this killed, and also they will have different, they'll have different font sizes and font colors, so which we'll set up later. But first I'll just set up the content that's going to be there inside the text block. So this one is going to be called killed. Okay, so actually instead of killed, I'm going to say you killed because you have killed him. So you killed, and there you go. And this does not need to be so big, so I'm going to bring the font size down to somewhere like 11, right? And also the font typeface can be light, right? And I'll just place that over here. I hope the anchor is okay. I'll first anchor it off to the top right, and then I'll first place it here like that, and I'll place it the way I like, and maybe I'll just bring it down a bit. Or this is minus 261, so if I say minus 260, okay, that's okay. And position 68, so let's say 70. All right, that's fine. And that would be you killed. And then next would be let's say I'm gonna give it a default of enemy 1. Okay, why not? So enemy 1, and I'll treat it the same way. First I'll make the typeface to light, and then I'll give it a size of 12. Okay, then I'll say size to content, and then I'll again move it to exactly this position Y, and of course the position X is going to change, and the anchors will first change to top right. You killed is minus 260, 70 on the Y, so I'll bring it down to 70. Okay, so that's in the same level, and then I'll just move it towards the, let's say if I just move it towards the right like that. Okay, you killed enemy 1. Okay, and of course this will be, let's say This can be 70. Okay, 70 is good. I think 70 is fine. And maybe I'll just increase the size to a little bit more, like 14, and maybe further push it up like that, and bring it in the center here. That's good. And this would be 194 by 28. So that's already sized to content. And I'll just change the font color. I'll make this to somewhere like light red, just to indicate that it's an enemy player that you killed. And this can be you killed enemy 1, right? Now, also, we're not exactly sure about the position, because this has to be around the border. So if you go back to HUD, I'm going to place the HUD right next to kill feed so that I can quickly go back and forth like this. So I'll go to HUD, and what I'll do is I'll just pick up this. I'll copy this image. I'll come here, and then I'll click here and I'll paste it. Okay, and I don't know if that's there. Oh, there it is. Okay, it got pasted there. Anyways, but I'll position it the way I want it to, and then I'll copy the position and paste it back there. Okay, so this is how I want it. I think that's okay. So if I just quickly play the game, and I should be able to see that, and I think that's good enough. Yes, that's good enough. So it's also anchored to the top right? It's also anchored to the top right, and it's minus 236 and 44. Okay, so I'll come back to kill feed and I'll give it the same position. So minus 236 and minus 236 and 44 is the position. And accordingly, we'll have to change these text as well. So again, I'll bring it up here, move it here, you killed, and then enemy again. I think this should be going up a little bit. So 50 is good. 50 is good. And again, 50 for enemy 1 text, 50, and maybe higher, 52. No, 48. 48. If I can scroll and zoom in a little bit more, I think that's fine, right? So this is 48, and if I just move it to the right like that, there you go. Okay, and I'll just justify it to the center, and I'll do the same thing, justify it to the center. I'll also make sure that it's sized to content and everything else is great. All right, I'm happy with the color, I'm happy with the position, and if I look here and if I position it here, it should be around the same place. That's awesome. Okay, or you could have also brought this guy in and pushed it in here. Means about the same thing, but I'm gonna get rid of this image from this, and then I'll come back here and I'll rename these images. So I'll say kill feed pop-up, because that's actually a pop-up, and then this will be label you killed. That's never going to change. What's going to change is this, depending on the name of the enemy itself. So this will be txt enemy name. There you go, as simple as that. Compile it, save it. Of course, you're not going to see anything right now because this is not this has not been instructed to be shown in the viewport, but we'll do that later on. But I just wanted to set all of these things first. So this thing is set. I think something is not right. Maybe no, I think it's fine. All right. Okay, so now that we have this, the next step is for us to animate. So the way this is going to happen is, once you kill an enemy, this whole thing, this whole package, the background as well as you killed and whatever the name of the enemy is, that'll be filled in dynamically, will animate, and it'll just show you a notification. It's just like a notification on your phone. It just shows up and then it goes away after a while, or unless you have to discard it by swiping it off or whatever. So this is just going to show up and tell you that you have killed this guy, and then it'll just go fade away. But okay, so for that to happen, you'll have to the way we're going to animate is we're going to start off with an opacity of 0, and then we'll animate it to 1, then stay there for a while, and then animate them back to 0. Okay, so for that to happen, the starting opacity, the initial opacity for all these elements have to be 0. So I'm going to have a 0 for this opacity for the kill feed pop-up, And again, the same for the uKilled label, that would be 0 for color and opacity. Alpha would be 0. And again, out here, the alpha would be 0 as well. Okay, and okay, like that. So all of these guys will just over time, they'll lerp to 1 from 0 over time, and then lerp back to the original value for opacity. That's an animation.